Hello and welcome to the Friday Focus. Graham Munsey joined by Dave Harley as we look back on all the action from the Stellar Devils match against the Newcastle Gems. Dave, a close, tough-fought match, but in the end the Gems came out victorious.
Yeah, a real battle tonight, and some close incidents, and a couple of falls, and unfortunately the loss, as you say, very close, 46-43 in the end, and a couple of points thrown away in some levels, but it's all about learning at this level, and you have to say well done to Newcastle. They've come here. Max Clegg's been really good. Lost his first race, then was excellent from then on, and a good night's racing for them.
Yep, so you mentioned Max Clegg there. We'll hear from the Gems number one and skipper, I assume. I think he is the skipper. We'll also hear from Devils reserve George Rothery, and of course, as always, the heat of the week. This week, an interesting battle on Heat 4 with a good ride by Danny Phillips. You mentioned it there, Dave, and is that what I think we could potentially put this defeat down to? Was the Gems solid throughout? I don't really remember them throwing away. I think there was 1 2-minute exclusion, but they had strong reserves that could come in. So every point that they kind of gated on, they stayed there, or if they made a mistake, they managed to minimise the damage. Whereas maybe for the Devils, you look down the lineup, there was a couple of falls and scoring positions, maybe a wee bit of inexperience, a spill when at the back on a 5-1 that turned into a 5-0. Is that kind of what you would say was the difference in the end? Exactly,
that's the difference. I mean, they have had 1 or 2 fallers. I think Kelsey Dugard fell in one race, but he was last at the time. Yeah. And George Rothery's who had a brilliant pass down the back straight. Yeah. Looking really good, but he's just gone too hot. These are the things that he's going to be learning, getting better. He didn't need to be that fast to win that race. Yeah. Once he'd hit the front, that was fine, but unfortunately it's come off. And then obviously he's got the exclusion where he's come hard underneath. Who was that? I can't remember now.
Was it Alcock?
Alcock, and then it's a wee bit hard underneath. Maybe at the next level up, that's the kind of level of racing you're at. But at this level, he probably is.
I think that's the thing, isn't it? And maybe in both of them, it was keenness and eagerness to get past. But maybe just these guys are so raw that sometimes you need to remember you've got 4 laps. You've got 58, 60 seconds, as it were, at this level to get past somebody here. You don't need to do it all on the first lap, but you're not going to, you take that keenness and you take that rawness away. It'll polish as it goes on, but that's what makes him such an exciting rider, Rothery, as well.
Exactly. That's why I want to hear. That's why I want fans here next week and all the weeks after to come and watch racing like that. Guys that are trying their absolute best, and you don't need to be on the limit all the time, but occasionally you want that kind of level. And we had a couple of really good tight first corners with Clegg and Greaves and Heat 1, and as I said, Danny Phillips in Heat 4, and a couple of other ones as well with the race where we had three restarts where unfortunately it
was Kelsey and Nathan, wasn't it? And then Joe and Alcock and Nathan in the second run.
Yeah, Nathan came off a couple of times there and unfortunate there, but that's also all racing, all part of the fun.
That's it, and of course, you mentioned that there are good performances by the Devils heat leaders. It was, I'm started pouring down, so I'm not going to turn my programme a bit of paper around, but I think was it 12 for 12
Nathan, and 1 for Nathan,
11 for Tom, and 7 for Danny, with 2 heat wins, or 2 heat wins or paid heat wins for both Danny and Tom, and 3 heat wins for Nathan. So that's good. And of course, we mentioned George Rothery, another 7 rides and another double-figure performance. And George, a birthday night for him to remember, 7 rides, a couple of spills, and then he got to come up to the tower and speak to yours truly. So we'll hear from George now. So joined by Devils reserve George Rothery. George, another busy night for yourself, 7 rides, a couple of trips into the fence as well, onto the bargain. Is this how you're meant to spend your birthday?
Not really, no. Well, I just went out and I had a few good laps, and then obviously there was a hiccup, and tried to keep a nerve and go back out and score some more points.
And do you think obviously the 2 races you came down, was it maybe just a case of getting stuck? I think the first one yourself, and was it Danny maybe couldn't quite work out where you wanted to be, you kind of run wide, end up in third, and then was it maybe just a case of having slower riders in front of you and not quite knowing where to go?
Yeah, I think it's been close racing tonight, but you just have to deal in them situations anyways. It's you go to over tracks, it's just the same thing.
And then what was your opinion on the one? So the second one, obviously I was watching from up on the first bend, so you can't see as you go into the third bend. I mean, was there contact, or do you think you were passed unfairly?
There was contact. I felt there was contact, but seemed as though he turned on to me,
Uh-huh.
so I thought I was in the right, but
Yeah.
obviously the refs.
So the rest
thought
makes the decision.
different.
And looking at the team performance as a whole, obviously, not great, unfortunate, a defeat, but I guess still positives to take yourself. Obviously, dusted yourself off. Nathan, Tom, and Danny all with heat wins. So although it's a defeat on the night, there's still positives to be taken.
Oh yeah, there's loads of positives. There's a few learning curves as
Yeah.
well. So we'll just take it back and hopefully see how it goes at Newcastle.
Yep, and of course, next Friday a challenge match. How much are you looking forward to racing with and against some of the guys like Sam Masters, Josh Pickering, Richie Worrell?
I'm not going to be able
Oh,
to
you're not
make
here?
it. No, I'm not going to be able to make it. So.
Oh, well, you just need to keep an eye on the stream and on the updates like
Yeah.
everyone else. But looking at the season as a whole, obviously we're 3 matches in. I think off the top of my head that's paid for 40 points from the 3 matches for yourself, maybe more than that actually, and 2 7-ride nights. I mean, is this exactly what you wanted when you signed up for the National League this year?
I felt as though I wanted all the rides, and I've got a load of rides. I'm just happy how I've got on this year. Well, to be honest, I ain't been riding with COVID and that, but I'm stoked to be here.
And it seems to be quite a good team spirit. You know, we speak to guys like Nathan, we speak to guys like Uthmar, and they're saying that although it's still early in the season, the team's bonded pretty well. How you find that? Because I guess you won't be used to being in a 7-man team. This is your first go at that. So how do you find things like that, or even the flow of a meeting? You know, it's not an individual meeting where you just need to look after yourself. You might be thrown into heats at short. How do you get used to that as a kind of newcomer to that level?
We've bonded quite well, to be honest, and quite quick. I think it's just like you just have to make sure everyone's okay and need any help with anything track-wise or gearing or whatever.
And certainly we see you look at the British Speedway Forum, you look at Facebook and Twitter and stuff, and you're sort of turning heads with your scores. So kind of, had you set any targets going into the season? You know, are you looking to showcase yourself and hoping to pick up some maybe guest bookings in the championship? Is that the next goal?
To be honest, I just wanted to ride for fun, and this came along and took the opportunity and see where it goes.
Well done again tonight, George, and thanks again for joining us.
Thanks very much.
Typical Cumbrian, I believe, is the term. A man of few words. I remember speaking to young Dan Bewley when he first signed for us, and he was maybe the same. But you know, he does his talking on the track, and another exciting night, and certainly when we take the positives out tonight, which we like to accentuate here,
Of course.
another one to put in the scrapbook for George.
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple of cracking races. Look back on the points he's dropped, but that's as we say, that's the way it is. And when it's a close meeting, it's sometimes he's come back to bite later on. But it's all learning, and again, same for the young lads as well, the Miller boys and Sheldon. They're all out after heat 15 practicing. They know they need to start scoring some points and being a bit more competitive. But in the last race, you did have Lewis was a lot closer
getting
in
up,
the last race, and it's but they've got matches to come to pick that up.
And is that, you know, we're never overly critical here, and it's, you know, these are all guys that are new to this level mostly, but you know, is that where you're maybe looking for a bit more? I mean, obviously it puts so much pressure on everyone else to be perfect when you've got 3 guys, and you know, we know this is a development league, but between them I think it was 1 gift point that they picked up, I think, between the 3 of them. Like various issues, you know, Gregor on a new bike that he just couldn't get going properly. Lewis, you know, maybe not making a gate, and same with Sheldon. But you know, if we're being hyper critical, and I mean hyper critical here, you're going to need a wee bit more of these guys as the season progresses. Yes, we're only 3 matches in, but you want to maybe start seeing some glimpses off just a wee bit more.
Yeah, as you say, when they don't score, that means that Nathan, George and Danny and Tom need to be right on it, scoring, beating Max Clegg in most races, which they've been competitive against. I mean, Danny Phillips was ahead of him really well, looking really good until he unfortunately just couldn't quite hang on in the 4th turn. So they're capable of doing it, but with a few extra more points, that gives them that little bit of comfort and makes those meetings a wee bit more achievable. But yeah, I mean, you look at the Newcastle team as well. You've got Danny Smith looking really good as well for tonight. So
and if we move over to the Newcastle team now, and we mentioned it there, it was, you know, you had the recipe for success from the start there. You had Max Clegg gets beaten his first one, but then 4 wins out of 4, including the big heats 13 and 15. You had the reserves, very impressive, particularly Danny Smith, who looks to have come on leaps and bounds. I mean, I think in the build-up to the match,
we're all talking about Archie Freeman.
Yeah. And Danny Smith pops up with 9 points and a Heat 15 nomination, but then just solid throughout. Yeah, Heat wins are great, but we've spoken about it before, it's last places and not coming last that wins you matches, and only 6 Heat wins for the Gems, but only 4 last places, and that's the difference.
That is the difference, and as you say, Danny Smith was ecstatic to be out there winning races.
Yeah. You could hear him. Yeah, we could hear whooping and hollering as he came
he's
over the
going
line.
out for a 5-0 and he's cheering. Just like that. But that's the enthusiasm that the youngsters bring, and it's great to see that, and good on them. And hopefully that's what some of our boys will move into later in the year. I mean, Kelsey's had a hard night tonight. I mean, I don't know if that was maybe a bit tactical with the 2 minutes with Danny looking a bit better, because he looked like he got a sore one in that clash with Nathan Greaves earlier. But yeah, solid all the way through. They've all scored. That's it. You're looking. It's 4. I think the lowest score was 4, was it, or 3 paid 4, 3 paid 5? 4 paid 1 was the lowest score. There you go. So if 4 is your lowest score and 14 is your highest, you're going to be pretty close to the 46 that you need for the victory. And led, of course, as I say, by a guy that we spoke about, Leon Font, probably wanting to claim to be the number 1 in the league. I think when I was talking about that last week, I forgot that Max Clegg was in the league. A guy that, particularly around here, we all know what he's capable of. Max was fantastic as the night went on, absolutely tapes to flag, perfect in heats 13 and 15. And we caught up with him afterwards as well. And a solid performance by the Gems. I mean, I think it was obviously 4 Heat wins for yourself, but probably more key was actually the fact that as a team you only ran 4 last all night, and we all know in Speedway Heat wins are great, but it's not running last that wins meetings.
Yeah, definitely, and to be honest, we've all just had a chat after the meeting just then, and I said I was coming here hoping to keep it close, and to come here with a win, in my eyes, I'm over the moon, to be honest. I'm super happy for all the boys. This is our first meeting. Edinburgh's had 2 meetings now, and a practice here. So for us to come in our first meeting, we was all a little bit, finding our feet earlier on, but we were scoring the points when it mattered, and we had a bit of a scare when when you boys brought it back. Towards the end, I think they had a couple of 5-1s, but we've got a good team spirit, and it showed. We all dug deep, and we did what we came here to do, and that's to win the meeting.
And you mentioned that there, obviously you'll be riding for the Gems and the Diamonds. It's been a pretty hellish 18 months for everyone involved in Speedway, but certainly none more so than Rob. He took over the club. There was some issues he didn't realise. Then we've had COVID, we've had riders that can't get visas, we've had restrictions for the council, meetings have to be cancelled. It must just be great for the Newcastle Speedway as a whole to get back on track and get back on track with a win.
Yeah, definitely. Rob's put a lot of hard work in, and obviously it's really unfortunate, what happened last year, as it is for everybody, but it was his first season taking over, and obviously that happened. But we've come here tonight, with a good team spirit, put on a good show, and we've come here with a win, which, like I say, I wasn't expecting that to happen, and I would have just been happy keeping it close. It's the home track, innit? So everyone's solid around the home track, but to go for an away win in our first meeting, well, who would have thought it?
Well, Max, thank you very much for joining us. Well done tonight, and all the best for the season ahead. Wish you well.
Thanks very much.
Max Clegg there, and I asked him about it. Newcastle haven't had their troubles to seek over the last 18 months since Rob Grant took over. Of course, there was a few sort of financial issues that weren't disclosed when he took over the club. COVID, of course, has hit everyone. Work permits for riders, Brexit, riders dropping out, riders coming back. Now, having to cancel meetings because of guidelines from the council on who they can get in. So he must have been ecstatic tonight to come up here, see 7 guys with a Newcastle race bib and come away with a victory as well. Our closest in a club that's been synonymous with matches with the Monarchs over the years. So it's, you never want to lose at Armadale on a Friday night, but if you're going to, you maybe don't mind losing in those circumstances.
I'm not sure I said don't mind losing, but yeah, Newcastle are a team that always run us close, and it's been the same tonight. As you said, they've not had their troubles to seek, but they'll be ecstatic with that first meeting. You were hoping maybe the Devils, having a couple of matches behind them, might have pushed on from that, but fair play to Newcastle, and they're now doing what they bought into the club to do. So again, we've all got challenges ahead. They've made some tough decisions on the back of knowing that we've got financial challenges ahead, and all the clubs are. We don't know what's going to happen. We saw we're going out of lockdown next week, and already there's places in Scotland going back in, but going back to level 3. But fingers crossed that's all behind us, and same as this rain's behind us.
Yeah, we'll start wrapping this up here, I think, Dave, before we get soaked in equipment soaked. But of course, before we go, we always like to see you with our Heat of the Week. This week, I think it was your nomination, and it was Heat 4, an excellent ride by Danny Phillips.
So Heat 4 has Danny Smith on Gate 1. Gate 2 is Gregor Miller. Gate 3, Ryan Terry Daly, as Graham says, first ride for him at Armadale. And Danny Phillips comes from the outside, and Danny Smith to the front. Danny Phillips chasing hard, and as he bars his way through, nearly. Danny Smith a tyre ahead. Terrific battle up on the top corner, and Phillips goes ahead. Danny Smith pulling away now. I can't just call him Danny. Danny Phillips. Once again though, the Armadale Devils filling the 4th spot. So they're not getting these important third places at the moment. Danny Phillips, after that terrific first lap, is pulling clear. Takes the victory. Danny Smith, who I think has only been about less than a year on the 500s, he takes the second. Very good. Shared race.
An excellent ride there by Danny, and showing that yes, there's still some maybe mistakes and some rawness in there, but coming to the 4 round Armadale, and that's what we want to see as the season progresses.
Definitely. I mean, Danny stepped up from where he was last week, and looking a lot more comfortable on the track, and a wee bit disappointed with. He'll be disappointed, with his ball, but that's good. If we get him going as well, then yeah, we're going to have a chance. Going to have competitive matches. Yep. Can't wait to see it every week, and can't wait to see crowds when we're back next week.
Yep, definitely. Crowds back next week in that match, which I believe is the Masters Monarchs or Sam's Monarchs versus Richie's Devils. Line-up still to be confirmed. We know George Rothery won't be here now.
Hot off the press.
And I guess we can assume that Nathan Greaves won't be riding for both teams, so there'll be at least 2 riders that aren't Monarchs or Devils riders, but we would hope that the other 12 riders are the majority of the teams, and that'll be great to see. Of course, tickets are available if you're watching this before Monday at 12 noon, only for Gold members. You should have received an email from the club. If you haven't, please check your junk box or contact the club for details on that. If you're a Gold Plus member, again, you should have had an email confirming your attendance as part of that. Do keep an eye out on the Monarchs social media and the Devils social media and websites over the weekend for details off the general admission. To that, Dave, the rain's kind of easing a wee bit now, but I don't think we'll take too much more time.
No, it's okay. But all I want to say add to that is it's a test event next week, so everybody will be all going well. We'll have a lot more people here the week after. Yeah.
And again, we do hope you can join us. If not in person, then certainly on the stream.
Yeah, get on the stream.
Yep, so that's us for this evening. Again, I'm not going to say disappointing, that's the wrong word at this time. Always disappointing to get beat, but still green shoots to take from tonight's loss. 46-43 win for the Gems. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back on Wednesday evening with the preview show for next week, by which point we should have the lineups and we'll have reaction to both teams. But until then, thank you very much again, and goodbye.
Good night.